Ladies and gents, this is Intelligence Support Activity, the most secretive Tier 1 unit in the US military. By general discharge, I watched a video about Delta Force, and he said that there are more, like 4 or 5 of these Tier 1 military units. Delta Force is amongst them, but the most secretive, even Delta Force talk about it, being a secretive, is this one, Intelligence Support Activity. The names doesn't sound that badass, but maybe this has something to do with spy level James Bond shit, intelligence, who knows. Let's waste one.
Military special operations units are shrouded in secrecy. While you can find what seems to be a decent chunk of information about them online, in reality, that's just the tip of the iceberg. A vast majority about who they are and what they do is classified. This lack of information is seen on an extreme level with the 5 Tier 1 units in JSOC. But
there you go.
One unit's secrecy stands out among
yeah, so SEAL Team, Delta Force, Rangers, this ISA, yeah, and the fourth, which is the fifth, I don't know.
Among the rest. That unit would be the US Army's Intelligence Support Activity, or ISA for short. The ISA doesn't get the limelight like Delta Force or SEAL Team 6, and chances are, many people don't even know this unit exists. Hell, you can only find a few allegedly verified photos of them out there, so don't think the footage used is going to be of this unit. It's highly unlikely the ISA is going to be filming vlogs for us anytime soon. So with all of that said, what's the story behind the Intelligence Support Activity? Why is this arguably the most secretive special operations unit in the entire US military? And what is publicly known about them? We're going to answer all those questions for you and much more.
Imagine the future ISN and Delta Force starts to stream on Kick and Twitch, like those streamers do, driving a car and everything. Today we are going on a raid and hello guys, 24-hour stream, okay.
What's up everyone, I'm Veteran Vinny, the voice behind General Discharge. Join us as we take a deep dive into the most secretive Tier 1 unit in JSOC. This is Intelligence Support Activity. Before it was known as the Intelligence Support Activity, it was called the Field Operations Group, which was stood up in the summer of 1980 to help take part in a second attempt to rescue US hostages held in the Tehran embassy after the failure of Operation Eagle Claw. Because that operation had highlighted a shortfall in US military intelligence gathering, leadership wanted to create a covert special operations unit dedicated to doing just that. When the Field Operations Group was created, it operated in Iran under the command of Colonel Jerry King, where it would execute various covert intelligence gathering missions. When the time came to conduct the second rescue attempt for the hostages, the mission was scrapped. Despite that happening, the Field Operations Group would not be disbanded, but would be enlarged. The US government saw great value in having improved ground intelligence capabilities for future special operations, and even though they had the CIA doing that stuff, they thought the more the merrier. Thus, on March 3, 1981, the Field Operations Group was converted into a permanent Special Operations Unit and renamed the U.S. Army Intelligence Support Activity. Their logo...
Oh, so they're under our US Army, alright. I'm surprised they didn't just integrate this into CIA. But CIA is not military, so I guess there is a place for this group. Because sometimes things might feel like a level of pedantism, a level of like technicalities, but that shit matters. Are you a CIA or are you military?
Which depicts an American bald eagle grasping a claymore, surrounded by a kilt belt, inscribed with the Latin phrase that translates to "truth overcomes all bonds," is pretty badass. Present day, because of the nature of their missions, the Pentagon often disavows knowledge regarding the ISA's activities, and they've even been given different names to misdirect any attention or probes into their identity or activities. They've been known as Task Force Orange, Centra Spike, Torn Victor, and Gray Fox. But names aside, let's move on to what the ISA does and how they do it. When the average person thinks of a Tier 1 Special Operations Unit, they'll think of a group of badass, bearded operators on a mission to neutralize a high-value target. A pretty scary sight, especially if you're their target. But you know what's even scarier? Your personal information is being
like SEAL Team 6. Probably that falls into SEAL Team 6 more. Delta Force is like rescuing things, like probably, right?
Sold right now as you're watching this video. Go ahead and pause the video and take a minute to Google your name. We'll wait. Did it shock you to see how much of your personal information comes up with just the click of a button? Data brokers
Really? Does Googling your name work like that? Come on. Because Google is not that good of a search engine anymore. If you search your name, your probably social media profile will come up at best.
selling your personal information can increase your likelihood of spam calls, identity theft, and put you and your family at risk, as bad actors can easily access details like your address, social security number, where you work, and much more. So what can you do to remove this information? That's where Incogni, today's sponsor, comes in. Incogni reaches out to data brokers on your behalf and requests the removal of your personal data. Data brokers are legally required to remove the information, and Incogni deals with any objections from their side. Sure, you could send the removal request yourself, but it would take you hundreds of hours. Who has time for that? All you have to do is sign up, give Incogni permission to act on your behalf, and they'll start contacting data brokers insisting they remove your information from their databases. It's quick, simple, and you can even track the real-time, day-by-day progress of your information being removed. Incogni is also available risk-free for 30 days, meaning anyone can try it out for themselves and get a full refund if they aren't happy with the service. Don't be a victim and let your personal information be exploited. Use code GeneralDischarge at checkout or go to incogni.com/generaldischarge to get an exclusive 60% off an annual Incogni plan. Again, that's incogni.com/generaldischarge. Links in the description and pinned comment below. Now back to the video. Even though the
Okay, again, isn't that a gray area? I'm reacting to an ad, but okay, Western things have law in place, like, yeah, you have to remove the data if you request it. But something like Chinese, Russian, they don't go up with the same law, so just requesting doesn't mean they're gonna remove your data, right? I don't know.
operators get a lot of the attention in Tier 1 Special Operations units, a lot of work is done behind the scenes by people who collect the intelligence needed in order to execute that mission. The ISA is one of those players behind the scenes. In other words, the ISA's purpose is unlike most Special Operations forces, because its main purpose is not dedicated to direct combat, but instead revolves around secretive and clandestine actions necessary to support other military operations. In other words, you can think of it like this: while Delta Force and Dev Group focus on direct engagement and specialized combat tactics, the ISA conducts intelligence and espionage operations at a tactical level. But make no mistake.
Yeah, but why do you need a military wing for that? Like the video said, isn't CIA enough? If you're not going to engage in warfare, you probably don't need to be part of the military. I understand, like, there might be scenarios where you do have to, but those scenarios are usually a failure. Like CIA can't do that as well. They have guns. Why does this fall under US Army? I don't know. But yeah, this is basically like World War II. In World War II, France, like, what is it called? The other part of France, Vichy France, I don't know. In that part, like, there were like many people who were like gathering intelligence. And like even Federation has made video about that. Like, this is a real important thing, right? And they did this kind of like a guerrilla warfare type thing. None of that shit actually works if you don't have intelligence. So this is basically that, like, gathering intelligence, creating a model, and implementing that. If you do that right, if your intelligence is perfect, your operation is going to be perfect. Same thing in Venezuela with Maduro. Intelligence mattered.
Mistake. Although an ISA operator might not have the same emphasis on direct action or assaults like a SEAL Team 6 or Delta Force operator would, they are more than trained up to perform those types of duties should the need arise on a mission. In fact, most ISA operators are former US Army Green Berets who have extensive combat and multilingual training. They're no strangers to combat. The ISA's two main means of
Green Berets are trained for that, right? Like a certain level of regime change and, like, sending in the enemy territory, so they would work great at this kind of like espionage and sabotage and like intelligence gathering.
collecting intelligence are through human intelligence and signals intelligence, respectively known as humans and SIGINT. ISA human intelligence collectors gather information from human sources via coercion and interrogation depending on the asset. Their operators are masters of screening, tactical questioning, interrogation, and liaison operations, which enable them to collect the best intelligence possible. As for signals intelligence, ISA operators gather it primarily by intercepting enemy communications or sending an operator to physically bug a target. target. And ISA's purported structure generally reflects what we've just discussed. It's believed that the ISA consists of a few squadrons, each with their own purpose. There's the Operations Squadron, sometimes referred to as the Human Intelligence or Ground Squadron, which functions as the ISA's Human Intelligence Collection Squadron. Then there's the Signals Intelligence Squadron, which you can tell by the name is responsible for the ISA's signals intelligence mission. There's also the Mission Support Squadron, and while the breakdown of this squadron isn't exactly known, it likely contains logistical support for the two operational squadrons, such as procuring equipment, obtaining funding for operations or training, and human resources functions. It's also important to note that within these squadrons, there are cyber ops teams, technology ops teams, and mission support teams, who are all utilized and leveraged to conduct specialized tasks for mission success. Never forget about the support personnel in a special operations unit. They do more than you think. So, with how specialized the mission of the ISA is, what does it take to join this highly secretive and elite Tier 1 unit? You might be shocked to hear this, but most of the ISA selection process is kept under wraps, and not just anyone can apply. To remind you, a lot of ISA operators are seasoned Green Berets, because they possess many of the skills that align with the ISA's mission. Having people who are multilingual and who can get themselves out of sticky situations deep behind enemy lines are a valuable asset to an intelligence gathering unit, after all. But make no mistake, candidates also come from the other military branches. Despite
This is basically a movie scenario where a general or like a major comes and like, you've been selected for this and that. Jason Statham or something, like Sylvester Stallone, like Rambo level shit. This is basically that. No one knows what criteria falls, but I guess you get chosen and shit like that. Makes sense.
Despite who the candidate is or where they come from, they typically recruit those who are multilingual. The ISA selects operators for deployments based on their language proficiency and their ability to blend in with the locals, so this is very important. All those who try out for ISA will receive a lengthy background investigation and extensive psychological testing. If they pass through those initial humps, depending on if they're an operator or support personnel, they'll receive further training in a specialized training course. The selection process for ISA operators prioritizes physical skill for field operations and a skill for intelligence operations. Candidates will be taught infiltration techniques, advanced air operations, offensive and off-road driving, personal defensive measures, and communications. They'll also learn different espionage and intelligence methods to help them carry out their essential human intelligence operations, as well as more technical training on signals intelligence, like transmission and signals interpretation. Once they receive their foundational training, ISA operators will often continue to sharpen their skills, and will train alongside other specialists in the intelligence community, such as with the CIA. The intelligence support activity, like all the other Tier 1 units, isn't something that you can just join from your recruiter's office. Generally, Tier 1 operators spent several years in a Tier 2 special operations.
Yeah, this all just makes sense to me, because if you're in some kind of a warfare, army is in warfare, you need your own unit that acts like a CIA, but like more capable on the field. You don't want to rely on CIA because whatever means, CIA is a separate thing than military. I mean, CIA is still part of America. CIA will go along with military, but chain of command, there is still a, like you still have to rely on call CIA, right? Well, army, this is part of army. Kind of makes sense. It makes it streamlined.
Units like the Rangers, Green Berets, or the SEALs. If you're someone who wants to join special operations, you gotta start somewhere. One of the best things to help you work smarter, not harder, is by getting some good gear to help out your training. With rising prices everywhere, you gotta save money where you can. Our friends at Athlete, a veteran-owned company, sell amazing gear at an affordable price for those who want to pass special operations selection. If you scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description below to go watch it. Thank you for watching. Do you even want to be here? To go watch.
Fuck was that? All right. RRC 24 STS Delta 4 SEAL Team 6 ISA. All right. So Rangers and yeah, ISA is basically CIA but on roids, I'm gonna guess. Yeah. Obviously, the secretive things, like you will never know like what ISA does and how instrumental they are until they become slowly declassified, even if they're intelligence operatives. Chances of them being declassified is really rare because they are the one who's actively doing things on the field. Same thing as like CIA ops and CIA people will never really get recognition because you can't really tell the world what they're doing. There's similar things. So we'll never know the level of shit ISA has done. Delta Force is different, SEAL Team 6 is different, so it makes sense. But this is the most secretive James Bond level shit when it comes to Army, ISA. Yeah. Right, well, if you like my reason, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.